up, guys? So today's topic is about the gifting of children. Now, the reason why I've chosen this topic is because in our Polynesian homes, relatives can't have children, and other relatives give them children to raise as their own. And so today my guest is someone who has lived through that. She's experienced that. She was a gift to another family, and she's here today to tell us her story about this. You guys might know her as Diamond Reacts. YouTube reactor, MC, Instagram influencer. And yes, girl, we just want to welcome you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's really important that I wanted to do the story with you because I watched your podcast with From the Ground Up, so shout out to them.
Shout out to From the Ground Up.
Yeah, I watched that and I was really taken by just your truths, everything that you spoke about, the sacrifices, like from generation to generation, from your mom to you. It's an honor to sit here with you and hear your story in person. It's different when you watch someone, but to be able to sit here with you, I'm very honored and I'm very grateful you've taken time out to be here. So thank you, girl. In the beginning, talk about your childhood, and we'll just lead it from there.
So I was born in New Zealand, in Middlemore Hospital. I think every islander was born there. And then at 3 months I came here to Australia. So basically my whole life I was raised up here in Australia. I was adopted to my dad's oldest sister. So like with Ata, how she explained the hierarchy. So my so our mehitanga, she only had 2 boys, 2 sons. And she wanted a daughter. So I was my parents' first daughter. And so like I didn't really know that I was adopted until I was like teen years maybe, or maybe just before my teen years. So I grew up my whole life just thinking I was just my adopted parents was my parents, and my 2 brothers it was just us 3. But then my biological parents went on to have, so they had 4 boys, and then it was me, and then they had 3 other girls after me. So that was us. And then growing up it was just me and my 2 brothers. It wasn't up until I was like about 6 or 7, and then my adopted parents, they separated. Mom, she kind of took off kind of thing. So then it left my adopted dad and the 2 boys and me. So I was still young then, and when he left,
so your dad left too?
He left as well. So he stuck around for a bit, and then it was kind of like hard for him. So he kind of just went away. So he just left me and my 2 brothers. So my 2 brothers were still in high school.
How old were they?
I was in primary. I'm pretty sure my brothers were probably like 15 and 18.
Wow.
Raising me. Pretty much it was just us 3. And it's funny because when I think about my childhood, I just remember them. I never really have memories with, my earlier years, like I remember being like 3, 4 years old, 5, up to about then. And then after that, childhood, school years, it just felt like it was just us 3, like it was like my parents were my brothers. So it was really hard for me because, and I couldn't imagine what it was like for my brothers to have raising me,
so much responsibility,
meant to be like as a sister, but then all of a sudden they were still in school. They had to make changes,
still
and
trying to grow up themselves,
and dealing with our parents just just upping and just going,
and not even being able to process that. It was just they left. And now you're here.
And now it's like, they had no choice.
What else can they do? Wow.
And there was still schooling, and at that time, both my brothers were doing well in like in rugby. So they was trying to make it in that, trying to build a career from that. I don't think they really liked school at that time. But so they were really trying to get into So for them to try to get into rugby and try to get off like that and raise me at the same time, and
So much
having
struggle,
the
yeah.
like having and I guess there was a time they were like I remember people telling me like my brothers were like, I'm pretty sure one of my brothers, the younger one, he was like he was almost gonna get picked for like Canberra, for Canberra Raiders, and my other brother was like kind of like trying to get into the Storm squad.
Yeah. Wow.
So for them, and for like the long time, every time I heard stories about them trying to break it into like rugby careers, and thinking they had to sacrifice a lot because of me, and me being technically their cousin instead of a sister, they carried me as a daughter and just trying to raise
and
me
fathered you.
and fathered me at the same time, still trying to finish school. And they weren't able to finish school because there was just too much breakdown in our household. But a lot of the times when it was just us three, I used to always get sent to Sydney.
Yeah.
So people like, they wonder why I call Sydney home.
Yeah.
But it's because when I went there, my adopted dad had twin sisters in Sydney.
So you know when your dad left?
Yeah.
He left and went to Sydney.
Yeah, he went to Sydney, and I don't think it was to Sydney. I think maybe he went there for a bit,
Okay.
or maybe we all took a trip. But
And he
went
more
back
children?
to never got
Okay.
remarried, never had more children. But yeah, when he went, and then he also went like back to Mildura, like the Robinvale, like the countryside. So they were just pretty much all over the place, and we were just based in. And my brothers would just send me off to Sydney because that we had mother figures over there, and they had daughters. So for them, it was easier for me to be over there and be around women because they were still trying to, and both of them are still married to the same girlfriends that they had when I was since I was 3 years old.
Wow.
So they've known me since I was 3.
Yeah.
And wasn't until they got married and stuff, and then I started to become their daughters, like and then that's when like the mother
figure kind of
figures
came in.
like started to come in, and but still then my brothers still tried to be both at the same time. They were very protective of me, that they didn't allow their partners to be that to me, and because I was very closed off to mother figures, and because I didn't have women around me, I was still kind of like, what's this? Like I was very closed off to like anything to do with women. I was just pretty much attached to my brothers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you feel like you jerried that you were adopted?
It wasn't until I remember one of my girl cousins, she went up to New Zealand, and she came back, and then she saw me, we were out somewhere, and she goes, "Oh, I saw you in New Zealand." Because if you see like my sisters, we have similar, and back then, like me and one of my other sisters, we basically look like twins. Yeah. And she goes, "I saw you at a funeral and you didn't say hi to me." And to me, I was like, I've never been to New Zealand before. Like I had no idea. Wow. And then I remember asking like my brothers, and there wasn't really like much answers, because to them I was their sister. They never wanted to tell me. And then I asked my dad, my adopted dad, and then he kind of told me then, like, your real parents is in New Zealand, we adopted you as a baby. And then from then I feel like I kind of had a thing where I wanted to know them. Yeah. So I kind of like slowly tried to search for them kind of thing. But still then I was still very attached to my brothers. Yeah, like, and that's all you knew. Yeah, that's all I knew. Yeah. So for me, trying to like find, my real family, it was still like I didn't want to hurt them. Yeah. At the same time. Yeah. Because it was, they were very protective of me, but they still didn't stop me from going to go find my family or whatever I wanted to do. They never tried to stop me. It was just me being so attached to them that I didn't want to hurt them in that way. So I still try to like connect with my actual family, but I feel like my actual, my blood siblings and that felt that I was still very attached to them. So I would try to like, get along with them and that, and as we got older, we, got closer. But back then I was very still to my two brothers, like, no, I'm a part of this, that these are my brothers. Like, Did you ever feel like you felt different? Like, when you just feel out of place? Yeah.
Was that ever a feeling that you felt growing up?
I feel like
Before you found out?
no. I think when I think back to it, then I kind of feel like, oh yeah, okay, I kind of felt like, oh, you know, I was always by myself, being the only girl. But with my brothers, I felt like I never missed out on anything because they always handed me everything. Like I was very protective, even though like I was pretty much, they babied me a lot. And still, even to this day, being 27, they still try to baby me. Like it's still like, oh, what do you need? Or like they'll tell me, oh, you need to grow up and start doing this, but they'll end up doing it for me because like straight away. And I'm just like, how am I gonna learn? Because they still they treat me like a sister, and then they'll go back to being father figures, and they're like, no, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's really cool that you guys are still close.
Yeah, we're still really close to this day.
Wow. Yeah. So, do you see them as brothers, or do you see them as...
I see them as my brothers, but then there's times where when I'm making grown up like decisions, I see them more as like my father figures. Like I run to them for pretty much everything. Or like just when guidance and that is needed, I'm always the first to like contact them. And I feel like I just respect them more as fathers than as brothers.
Do they have children?
Yep, they have children now. Yep.
Wow.
And still to them, I'm like the sister to their kids.
Yeah.
And my oldest brother had, his oldest son is 20.
Wow.
So I grew up with
your nephew.
With my nephew.
Yeah.
So we're only 7 years apart, and so when I was 7, I became like a big sister.
Yeah.
More than an auntie, because I was so young, and even still to this day, me and that nephew, we never see each other as auntie and nephew. We banter like brother and sister. Yeah. And I just see him more as like a little brother than anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you started to find your family and things like that, and just, I guess, trying to juggle, not trying to betray where you come from and, you know, your brothers and the respect there. When did you meet them? And
so it wasn't until I didn't go back to New Zealand until I was 23.
Wow, that's a long time.
Long time. And when I was excited and everything because I was meeting my sisters. Yeah. And I felt like through my whole life I was always trying to, I felt like I was trying to fill a void of like the whole mother thing. Yeah. So I craved it all the time. So I was so excited to meet my mum, and then the first couple of days I was like, still like excited, and then I realized like she would tell me things like, you're the oldest girl, you need to carry yourself as the oldest girl, you have younger siblings and younger sisters. And to me, being the baby of my brothers, like I was so baby, it was hard for me because I didn't want to be like I was older there, but when I come back to Australia, I'm the baby. Like I'm the baby. I had everything, and it was kind of like it was just really hard for me to try to bond with all my other siblings because I wasn't used to having so many siblings around me or like different characters, because I was used to having my way over here, and like we clashed because I was trying to pull how I get things over here, over there, and it was like, my mother was always like, everyone gets treated the same. You guys are,
Wow. So would you say, how's your relationship with your mum now?
Really good. My birth mum?
Yeah,
it's really good. There's like times where like I get really homesick and I still feel like I need her. Like it's just a whole, like, doesn't matter that she didn't raise me, but sometimes only your mother will feel that can like love you like that, or she can feel. There's a lot of times where now, especially this year, where she'll feel like when I'm going through something, and then she'll tell my sister to check up on me, and then like when she does that, and I'm just like, okay, only a mother can feel things when their kids are going through stuff. So that's
really cool.
Like,
wow. So back to your brothers. How many children do they have?
So my oldest brother, he has one son, and then he had 2 girls, but they both passed away. So one of them, the recent one, passed away May this year, and then my other brother only has 1.
Wow.
And that was the one that I adopted to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old is she?
So my youngest She's 2 this year.
Wow.
But yeah, she was adopted to them pretty much straight from birth. Like,
wow.
5 minutes after I gave birth, they came in. And
did you know you were going to do that?
To be honest, not until I gave birth to her, and then I started thinking about that. It was kind of in the conversations leading up to when I was giving birth, but it was just a really difficult situation because they were meant to adopt from my auntie in Tonga.
Wow.
But she had a stillbirth, and I was carrying during that time. So when it was getting closer to the time and I was just seeing how they were excited for that child to finally be parents, and me having 2 kids already, and I already experienced that, and for me thinking there's no one that can give them what, you know. So for me, and it was kind of hard because my own situation with my kid's father was still like kind of, you know, up in the mix. So I didn't know whether I was like what I was gonna do, and it was hard for me to be like if I was gonna be a mother again, or I was going to give her up so they can be parents. But I was kind of like, I felt like I was stuck in the middle when it came to that, because I didn't want to break, you know, either decision would have hurt someone. So for me, it was just like a lot. And then I just felt like they have no other sisters, and there's no one that can do, like, you know, IVF, they failed like a lot of times. There was heaps of like things like that, and because I was always around them,
so you
I watched
that journey.
Yeah, so I just watched the journey for the whole time, and they were getting up to like, you know, they're almost 40, and and for me, I just like, I have to do it. It just felt like in my heart, my gut, I was like, it's something that like I have to do. But then I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Like at the time, I was still like, I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
But then when it did happen, I was just glad, because I was like, my son was still 1 year old exactly when she was born, and I was like, I can't juggle 2 under 2 with my situation going on. I feel like I'd rather put her in a position that she's gonna have everything. Yeah, instead of me bringing her into something that I'm still trying to figure out myself. Yeah.
What a massive sacrifice.
Yes.
Do you feel like because you were able to give your child to your brothers to raise as a sacrifice, do you feel like you could understand a bit more what your mum was going through?
So for the whole time, I felt like I held kind of like a grudge towards her, because I felt like I always grew up with questions like, why didn't you want me? Because I was like your first girl, like kind of thing, and I never understood that. And I was just like, I kind of held a grudge against her, because I was just like, I could have, you know, been raised with my siblings, and you know, I could have had everything. But then until I made that sacrifice, then I felt like how hard it would have been for my mum to not only give up her like child, but her first girl. So for me, it was just like, I kind of understood her more, and then I had much more respect for her, and all the grudge and all that like pain and hate that I kind of had just went away, because I was just like, okay, I felt,
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And so you sacrificed 2 of your children.
Yeah.
So which one happened
So
first?
the oldest and the youngest. So my son is with me, and I co-parent with my kid's dad. Yeah. So the youngest one is pretty much my niece now.
Yeah.
Like
how does that sit with you?
At first, I think when I was at hospital, that was probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you carry for 9 months and you're like, you prep yourself to be a mum again, and you know how that feels, and you're excited, and you're like, oh, you're finally going to be a mum again. And because there was another girl, but at that time I didn't know, like the gender was like, we didn't know that. And until she was born, and I was just like, because I knew what I was going to do, like to give her away. I didn't want to.
You knew that before?
Yeah, during my labor, it was in my head, like, I think that it's right for me to give her. So for me, I just didn't want to be attached. So when she came out, I tried not to hold her as much, because I knew the feeling that I had with my kids. As soon as they popped like the baby on my chest, I was like, oh, like, you know, fell in love, and I was attached, didn't want anyone to. So with her, it was kind of like just straight, like, you know, just I didn't want any attachment, because then I knew I would break my brother's heart if I was to get it, change my mind. So it was really difficult for me. And even like I asked them, you know, when I finally told them that they're gonna have her, I asked them to like get her like formula and that, because I didn't want none of that. So, but like even when they would leave after the visiting hours and that, I would still just feed her from like the hospital bed, because it was just, for me, it just didn't want to hold her or get the feel or anything. Because then, you know, by the time they'll come in the morning, and if I was holding her all night, I would have been like, oh, I can't do it. So that was like probably the hardest part for me, was the first few days in hospital just with us two.
And you gave birth by yourself?
On my first one, my first daughter, by myself.
What? Why?
So like that day, so pretty much me and my kid's dad, we went to hospital together, and my labor was just stalling, and it was just long, and they were like, oh, it's not progressing, and it got around to midnight, and I've been in labor since 7 o'clock that morning. So it was long. And then the nurses said to my kid's dad, he can go home and have a rest and then come back in the morning and see how we go from there, because it's going to be a while. And then as soon as he left, and he's a heavy sleeper, so as soon as he left, about half an hour later, my labor started progressing out of nowhere. So then he's me with my phone, the hospital phone, just laying there pushing at the same time. And it wasn't, so I was pushing. It wasn't until 5 o'clock in the morning. So that whole time just pushing, calling at the same time. And she was born at like 5:30 in the morning. And then I finally got through to one of his sisters, and then she woke him up and they came straight away. So by then she was just about 10 minutes born. He rocked in, and
Wow. And talk us through that process, because she's not with you, is she?
So when I had her, I was pretty much a mum for like the first year of her life. So I was new mum, and you know, stay at home mum as well. And then after her first birthday, I was going back to work. So by then I was really, we had like an agreement that it was better we didn't want to put her in childcare. Because I have a big fear of like her being around, you know, strangers and stuff. And me being a new mum, I just didn't want to put her in daycare at all. But I had to go back to work because we needed another income in the house. So it was really hard for me to, you know, be with her for a year, just me and her. And then the best decision for us was for his mum, her grandma, to come and take her for a bit, pretty much a year, while we work and try to save up for a house. So as that happened, I was still working hard out, he was still working hard out, and we were still trying to save, and they grown attached to her. And because she's like their first granddaughter, and especially to her grandfather, she's very close to him. So as more as she grew up, she grew more like attached to them. And it was kind of like we couldn't bring her out of that, because that's when our house, like our home, was starting to have breakdowns. And for us, it was just like we were still trying to figure us out. And still like we were like, oh, we don't want to bring her back, and then like, you know, it's not it's not
the right
like right. So we decided to leave her there, and it was okay, because you know, she was happy there, and every time she'll come down and she'll go, she was fine, like, you know, she'll be happy to,
which reassured you guys that like she was okay.
But like the first year of me being at work, I was very depressed, because I just wanted to be a mum. Like, you know, me not having a mum, it's something that I wanted to do. Like, I just wanted to be a mum. So it was hard for me to work through that, and at the same time like not miss her as much, because it affected her as well, because we have a Tongan thing where the mother and the child, like, when you can always feel like if your mum's like, you know, missing you, then the baby starts acting up, and you know, so it was hard for us to, you know, try to make her comfortable over there, but I was still over here, you know, being a sook and stuff and missing her. But every time she came, and she was happy, and you know, she was excited to go back because she started like going school over there. You know, started going kindergarten. Every time she come back, we'll see her grow, and she was, you know, she was in a good environment. So for us, it was like, it was good. It was like the best decision for us.
Wow.
But yeah.
What did that feel like? Just that year she's gone, trying to, you know, hustle.
Yep.
Emotionally, like, where were you?
The first couple, like I was okay when I started work, because I started at a new job, so I was excited to, you know, and clear my mind, like it was me to like keeping me busy, so I didn't have time to like think too much. So it was good. But then when she started coming back, and then I'll have visits. The visits, and then me going, like we'll drop her to the airport in the morning, and her like me crying on the way back and going straight to work. It was hard for I'll have days where I'll just leave from work half day, or like I'll do 2 hours and I'll leave because it was just too much. Like the first couple of days when she goes back, it was like the hardest for me, because I was just like, I was happy that she's home, and I'm like, you know, being a mom again. And you know, her being the only child, I was still like, you know, and for me it was just hard because going out to places like shopping centers, and you see mothers and stuff, and you're just like, you know that you're a mum, but you don't have your kids, and you just feel like, oh, you don't feel like a parent because you don't have them around.
Did you ever feel like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
It made it hard because people knew that I had a child.
Yeah.
And then when people would go, "Where's your daughter?" and you feel almost dumb.
How do you explain
the situation? Yeah. So for me, it was really hard for me to explain, like, and for me, it was really hard because I didn't want people to think that she's away because of other reasons, or assume things like, you know, because I'm literally depressed but hustling at the same time. I'm like, you know, trying to keep everything together, and, you know, and juggling my relationship at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was just really hard.
Yeah. At that time, did you ever feel like having your kids be away, especially your daughter, did you ever feel like that put a lot of strain there?
I really feel like that's like the main reason for the breakdown, because I started resenting him, and I started because I was just like, I wanted to be a mom. I didn't want to,
and it was like stripped away from you.
It was like I felt, to me it felt like it was stripped away, but because I didn't understand the island way, how this is what we do, we give our parents our kids because we have to go hustle, and then, you know, and to me it was just like I had a lot of built up anger, and then like every time she'll come back, and we'll be like, okay, she's gonna come back at this age, and then when it wouldn't happen, I think my anger just started building more, and I started resenting him more, and I was like, what am I hustling for? It was just like, you know, I just felt like there was like no end result, and I thought, you know what, it feels like I'm never gonna get her back. And wasn't until I got a bit older, and then my parents would tell me, you know, this is the island way, this is what happens. We had to give our kids away when we couldn't, you know, because we want them to be safe, and that means you getting a house first, and you getting everything in order, then and I feel like that's a big reason why they say to get married and then build first and then have kids. But to me, like, I just did everything backwards. So, but then me still trying to maintain and try to build a life, but still, you know,
but still learning this is part of the culture, and this is a sacrifice that's common.
That's common. And for me, I was just like, that's so like stupid, like I hated it, because I was just like, and then they were like, this is what we did with you, you know, we sacrificed you so they could have, like, you know, a sister, could have a daughter. And every time I would miss her, and I would get like so angry and stuff, and I would want to go and bring her back, they would always tell me, they're getting older, you know, one day they're going to pass away, and then your daughter's yours forever. You know, you're young, you still have time to like build and stuff like that. Leave her where she's, you know, good, she's getting an education, she's good. But to me, I just felt like I was just missing out too much. And I, like, that was the massive thing for me, is that I was missing out. And for me, not having my mum around, I was just like, I never wanted her to feel like how I felt.
Wow. Do you ever feel like people viewed you in a different light because your children were like people were like, you know, Diamond's had 2 kids, like, where are they? Did you ever feel like that?
Not until I had my YouTube. Not until I had my YouTube. Not pretty much my YouTube, because no one really knew that people would get shocked when they come to my Instagram, they're like, "What? She's a mom?"
Yeah.
Yeah, because they would think, oh, she's just like, people would think that I'm like, sometimes they think I'm 17 or
you know
sometimes.
What's funny? I seen you emceeing in the club and I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how does this woman with a beautiful body like that produce 3 kids and like wear?
A lot of people go, oh, like they see me in different things that I do.
Yeah.
Like they go, oh my gosh, you MC. Oh my gosh, you're a mom. Oh my gosh, like they say like a lot of things because I'm always doing different things and
always
like
hustling.
always hustling. And to me, I feel like my hustle is to fill the voids.
Right.
Like, because a lot of people like, you do a lot. You're hustling all the time. And to me, I'm just like, I have to hustle or I will
keeps
break.
you sane.
Yeah, or because he keeps me sane. It's like my getaway from feeling all of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you had to explain to people?
It was like when people started coming to my Instagram and I'll put things
because that's
up.
a lot more personal.
Yeah, my Instagram is so personal.
Yeah.
Which is why I keep it so private. Like, you know, I'm
careful on who sees.
Who sees what. And a lot of people like, you should vlog, you know, day in being a mum. And to me, I'm just like, that's fine. But because I know what it feels like to have, you know, be out there so much, I wouldn't want that on my kids.
Yeah.
Not at this age, you know.
Yeah.
It's fine to show them here and there, like on my Instagram, you know, I show my son at the park and stuff like that. But getting very personal, I don't feel like I want to put that on my son. Like, I don't want to make the world know, like, about him and stuff like that, because the world is just really scary right now. And, you know, being very protective of my son. But then when people go, but you've had 3 kids, and then they're just like, oh, where's the other 2, you know? And for me, it's just hard because, like, they never see the sacrifice. Or, like, I can't explain to them, like, you know, explain my sacrifices, and then they'll understand.
And people make assumptions of what they've seen.
So they'll just see my son.
Like, oh, she's all over YouTube, and she's just with one child.
Yeah, one child, what happened to the other 2. But no one really knows, like, the sacrifice.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that?
To me, I feel like my partner says this to me all the time. You don't have to explain to anyone.
He's right.
Yeah, like he always cracks it when I'm on Instagram and I'm like, oh, listen, this is how it is, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, stop doing that. You don't have to. Yeah. Because, like, at the end of the day, no one really cares. Only the people who know you should know stuff like that. You know, you don't have to explain why your kids like think. Just let people assume.
Were you starting to feel like you had to explain?
Yeah, for me, I felt like, because then people will go, 3 kids, but where are they? Because you only show your son. And to me, I was like, oh, that's why I love coming onto like podcasts and that, because then I get to explain that part, even though I don't have to explain, but it's better for people to know instead of watching me and just being like, you know, then all the assumptions that they had would just go away. Yeah.
And you're right, you know, people would view you and be like, she's all
over,
girl, all over the net.
All over the net,
And we don't see the mother side of her.
The mother side,
Not enough people know that side. Wow, that's really deep. Your partner's right though.
100%. He always tells me off, like when I'm posting rants and stuff, and he's like, can you take it down, delete it. You don't have to explain.
That's really cool. Yeah. Having someone that yanks
the
handbrake.
Yeah, he's like, no, delete that. And I'm like,
Wow. So you're in a new relationship now.
Yep.
How's that been for you?
Amazing. Cool. Like, it's just so, I don't know, it's hard because like, like now that I start to show my relationship on my platform, and now we're starting to build our platform together. And we show more of our fun side. We show, because we're so ourselves when we're with each other. So they see that, and they see our banter. They see, you know, the way we banter back and forth on our stories and stuff. But off camera, it's just amazing. Like, to me, I'm very, like, I can say wholeheartedly that I'm happy.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And did you ever feel like you would ever find that kind of happiness?
No. Because if people used to view my posts before I was in this relationship, they'll be like, oh no, she does not like guys, she hates relationships. Like I was like, people almost thought that I was like a feminist. But I was just very strong on being a strong female, because I was always dominant. and because past relationships, I wasn't the dominant one.
Right.
So I always just felt like I had to build myself again, and then I was like, I'm gonna stand on it this time, and whoever is going to match that, then I will break down my walls. But till then, this is how it is, and I'm not changing for no one. So for me, it was very cutthroat to a lot of people, because they were like, you can't be like that. You're not gonna find it. Even my brothers used to tell me all the time, they're like, you're gonna end up by yourself, because you put up too many boundaries, and you're too strong.
And you're a workaholic.
Yeah, and like, you're always hustling. How are you going to have time for a relationship, or how is anyone going to see you in how you really are and stuff, or allow anyone to come near you when you're always like putting up a wall every time someone, like talking stages and that, I was like, yep, talking stages here and there, but it was never to a point where I'm like, I'm going to fully bring you into my world, and I'm going to break down my walls and
get to
really, really know me away from my platform.
And I find that, spending time with you yesterday, you are so different to how I've seen you. When I would watch you on YouTube and stuff, I often think, oh my God, she's a bit up the gate.
Aggressive.
But being with you, different board game. You're very private. I learned that yesterday. You're online, but your personal life is so private. Very private. And it's weird because, had I not have met you, I would have never seen that side. Or just the fact that you get shy. Because a lot of people, often, like, we watch you and you just have like, this vibe, and you're very vibrant. And then yesterday, when you had fans come up to you, you were just like,
it was very scary for me. Like, it was like I was telling my partner, he was like, how was dinner and everything? And I was like, I was so embarrassed. And he was like, why? And I was like, because I had people coming up to me, like people staring at me, like, and I'm just like,
trying to suss me
and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I just felt really like it was really confronting to me, because when I'm on camera, it's just me and the camera, and I don't know who's on the other side watching. So it's cool. Like, I'm in my element, like I'm in my zone. It's just me and the camera. But to be out in public
and have people
come up to me and know me from videos, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I'm just like anxiety.
I definitely felt that last night. Which was I was shocked.
Really?
I was shocked because I was thinking, from an outsider looking in, when we're looking at someone on YouTube, we're thinking they're like that out and about, and I guess some are, but with you, no, very cool.
I was just very
different.
Like, it was just very scary for me to have like people like. Just when I was just seeing it, that's why I was just like, didn't know what to do.
I felt like you were looking for something.
Yeah, because I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I was just very like, oh my gosh, they know me from my YouTube. It's just like, it's really weird for me, because to me, I don't view myself as how people put me. They're like, Diamond reacts, and to me, I'm just like, I don't know you, like, why? Because I'm just normal. I'm so normal, and I'm just so like down to earth. Like, I'm just very like calm.
And that shocks me a lot, because seeing you MC and all that, I'm
so hyped.
You're so hyped. And then when we were together yesterday and just catching up and things, so mellow. And I would have never thought that. Like, I'm thinking you're this out the gate girl who's an MC, you just got a lot going on. You're on Instagram, but behind closed doors, total different story. And wow, that's really different. So, your partner's a rapper, How's that been for you?
It's, for me, I feel like I don't feel that he's one, because he never brings that around me. Like anything to do with his music stuff, of course I listen. I'm like one of the first people to hear it. Like, he shares his ideas with me, and we run it through, like, like he tells me what he thinks, or his verses, ideas and stuff. But to me, I don't view him as that. Like, people like call him by his rap name, and to me, I just call him, my little pet names and that for him. I don't see any of that. Like, and it's really weird for me to watch his recent film clip and like, oh my gosh, that's my partner. And
I really like the fact that you don't react to his music. That's really cool that he said that. For you not to react.
So at first, I reacted to 2 of his songs before we were even dating. And we were friends then, and we were like, oh yeah, like, and he used to always show love and be like, thank you for reacting to my music. And then it wasn't until we started like being, talking more and more, And then, you know, once we started to get serious, he was like, look, I don't think it's fair that you react to my music anymore.
Yeah.
Because, you know, of course we're together, but when it comes to music and your platform, we just can't, you know, cross that over.
Yeah.
And it will be unfair because I feel like, and at first I was like, no, it's my channel, I can do whatever I want. But then viewing it from, it's like him as an artist, I have to treat every artist the same.
Yeah.
So because he falls under that category, I feel like I'll have some sort of bias, like, you know, reacting to him being my partner, I'll view him as my partner more than a musician. And so we both made the decision that we'll just keep him off of my channel.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think everyone was happy with that, because when I made the announcement that I'm not reacting to his song, I'll react to, you know, if the other group members, their music and he's not in it, then I will react.
Yeah.
But when it comes to when he's parts, it's just best for me just to advertise or, like, you know, just tell everyone about the track. But other than sitting there and actually, you know, going for it with you, some sort of professionalism somewhere. Yeah, just be like, okay, yeah, I'm a reactor, you're an artist. That's, we draw it there.
Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how's it? Well, you guys, so you got together, and then the pandemic happened.
Yep.
How has this been for you guys? Being he lives in Sydney, you're in Melbourne.
Yeah. So pretty much we started dating, talking first. We were talking, and then I came back to Melbourne. So we were talking for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then I came back to Melbourne, and then when I was coming back that day from Melbourne, Melbourne was going into lockdown.
Wow.
So to us, we were like, oh, it's going to be 2 weeks, because you know how they announced 2 weeks. So we're like,
really sure
cool.
how long.
Yeah, because I was like, I'll see you in 2 weeks anyway. And then when it got to like a month, and we were just like, oh wow, okay. So we just started talking more, and we were pretty much talking day and night from the day I landed back in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So we were just talking 24/7. And we just got, every day we were just learning new things about each other.
Yeah,
like
really dissecting each other's past and going through it.
Fully going through each other's past. I'll tell him things that no one knows. He'll tell me things that no one knows about him. And we just started to build literally from scratch.
Wow.
Like literally. And he used to tell me, when I used to watch your stuff, you were very like the staunch one.
Yeah.
And that's what attracted me to you, because I liked that you were strong and stuff like that. And then as our relationship kind of progressed, he found out that I was emotional. And then he was like, how can this little, you know, staunch girl be so, you know, crybaby? Like he always like to say that, you know, I'm just, like I'm a little sook. But he never, there was a lot of things about each other that we discovered about each other. And then because we were in a pandemic, and we have no choice but to, it was kind of make or break for us.
Right.
So we had no choice but to fully get to like use this time to build
really
that, lay down that foundation. Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yep.
So how long has it been now?
5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And by the time that I'm going back to Sydney this month, it'll be 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
A lot.
That's really cool.
And in 6 months I'll never do. Like I wouldn't do that with some, like to me, it, on a serious note, I wouldn't do that, because I'm just like, no, I'm a type of person who needs my partner around, like physically.
So this has been a big test.
Yep. Tested us both.
Yeah.
And with me, we built a mental and emotional connection more than anything. And I feel like when it comes to the physical side, even today when I was trying to think about, you know, knowing that we're going to talk about like the relationship, I started to think about the physical side, and I was just like, not once have we ever talked about that. Like we do here and there, but it's never a topic or issue or issue, because our mental connection and emotional connection is so strong. And we don't focus on that at all.
And that's really different.
It's so rare.
It is very rare. Yeah. Even just the fact that you guys are on the phone 24/7 is really rare. I've never heard of it.
A lot of even like my family, his family, they're like, you guys are always on the phone.
Very committed.
We're just very, we just fully built that. And I think at first we were like kind of in a honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
And then we started to
really dissect all the pain and everything. Yeah.
And then when we started to like bring in the L word,
wow,
it just got way deeper than that. And then we were just like fully for each other.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, I want to be around you all the time.
That's mad.
And it was for me, he was like, because of the whole pandemic and me being by myself all the time, he was kind of like my, kind of like my safe haven kind of thing. So every time I'll get off the phone, I'll feel like I'm just like, the pandemic and everything, I'll start thinking about it and I'll start falling into like a little, depressed mode. And then as soon as I'm on the phone to him, I'm just like,
you feel better.
Yeah, I feel better. So I was just so emotionally connected to him, and I feel like the more he trusted me, I started to be that to him.
Yeah.
So we're kind of each other's. Yeah. It was just our energies was always like
going off each other.
Yeah.
That's really cool, and it's very rare to get to know someone like that.
Like that, yeah.
And you guys had to because of this pandemic.
Yeah.
So it was like
we had no choice. It was either we'll just stay friends and then we'll see down the road, or we're just gonna
go through it.
Yeah, stick to it. Yeah.
That's
and
mad.
test. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I bet you guys are hanging out to see each other.
Yeah.
That's really cool, and just that that shocks me. Just seeing who you are and even who he is.
Yeah.
Like, just the fact that you make it work is
we make
really
it work.
big.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't really heard of that before.
Yeah.
Usually you hear the stories of like how they haven't heard from their partner, but just the fact that you are both very committed is very inspiring, and it's very healthy to hear those kind of things. Just even the fact that you guys have taken the time to really get to know each other thoroughly before sexual attraction and everything else falls into place. That's amazing. Did you ever feel like you could find like that all in one go?
No.
Like, having gone through what you've gone through, did you ever think like you were gonna find someone long term?
No way. Like for me, I feel like I would have to find someone. I would feel like I would still have to sacrifice somewhere. But I've always dreamed about having someone that I was just gonna be myself to a T and not sacrifice anything. It was either just gonna be compromise because I want to. It was. I didn't want to be in a relationship where I was just gonna always sacrifice all the time, because I've done that. I've been there, done that with every single. I'm a person who loves hard, so I'm a person who's all in or I'm all out. And I was always like too emotional. And I was like, when we first started dating, I was a lot, and he wasn't used to that. Like he wasn't used to a lot of love, and to me, I was just like being myself, but I just cautious. Felt like there was something there. Like I used to stare at him all the time, and we still was just staring at each other.
You felt it early?
Yeah, like I felt it early, but for him, he was very very closed off. Closed off, very and he trust issues and everything. I seen every red flag popped up, and to me, I was just like,
it's a good thing it popped up early.
It popped up,
Too often they pop up too late.
Too late, and then you're like, oh damn, and you're too deep and stuff. Yeah. But I seen him the first time we met, and we laugh about it all the time, because he was like on a 2-day bender, and a lot of people like, as if you would meet her on a like that. Well, and then to me, he was like, I would rather you see me at my worst, so I can see if you can handle me there. And to me, it was like a breeze, because there was just something about
something captured you.
Like for me, like we both had it in our head. We're just gonna meet up, and it's just gonna be one of those. You know, it's just gonna be like, because we're just having fun. I just got out of a relationship at that time, so it was just me, just going back into. I was just whatever. I just got out, and I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna do whatever. And we both thought that. We're like, oh, it's just going to be a one-night thing, so I went to you again, we're just going to stay friends, and it's just going to be like that. But from the first time I met him, I just saw, it was just something different.
Yeah.
And to me, it felt like, I just felt so captivated, like with him. But to me, I was like, he looks like the typical bad boy that I'll always go for, he fits that, but there's something about him that I want to tap into.
Yeah.
And there was just something that drawn me more to him, and like I felt there was a guard and like red flags everywhere, and I could read people, like I felt the energy. But every time I remember like the first night we'll just stare at each other, and we'll like stare at each other, and then we'll get shy, and it was just like really weird for me because I felt like I've never felt love like that. And to me, I always tell them, I'm like, I think I fell in love with you as soon as I saw you. Because I was attracted to you, like seeing you online and stuff, and I was like, oh, he's so cute, this, that. But actually meeting him, it was just like, oh, what the hell? And but I was still trying to keep myself together, like, oh, no, I don't like you like that, like, but he seen the way I was, he was just like, you were so like, ugh, like, you know, so like, and then we saw each other every day when I was there, and you know, you would think that you would you know, basically how people are these days, they, you know, sleep with each other all the time, like, you know, if you were spending that much time with each other. But the first 3 nights that we spent together, it was like we were in high school again. Because we just kicked it in the car, just got food, and for 3 nights straight, we legit just talked all the way till like 5 o'clock in the morning, just talking. And it was really, for me, I just felt like it was weird for me because I saw him as the artist or the street, like what he was to everyone else. And then every time we would talk, I would see him in it. I was starting to slip away from that, and I was just seeing him as him. So I really loved the fact that I was starting to see the real him. And he was just cameras. Off cameras. There was no Instagram that he, you know, we could put up. So that I was really attracted to that because I'm a person that's very deep, and I love when people just like talk truth. And like when he was telling me his story and stuff, and I just learnt like his past and everything, and it was just like, we just felt and then a lot of people get shocked because we started vlogging our little car vlogs and stuff, and people were shocked because they thought that we've been together for a long time, the way we were talking, and
chemistry was just
and they have no idea we met the night before. Like, you know, and here we are calling each other like, you know, like our little pet names and that, but we were just natural. It was just so natural.
Right.
And every time when I was editing that video, and I'm just like, that is so weird, I met you a night ago, you know.
Amazing how things work out.
And to me, I'm like, this stuff happens in movies. You know?
Literally.
Things like that happen in movies, and for me, it's still to this day, I still like
trips you out.
Still trips me out because I'm like, this is weird. You know, I think I've prayed about this prayed for someone like this for a long time. And now that it's here, you just don't know what to do with it, or if it's, you know. But the thing is, throughout a relationship, never has there been a time where, because, you know, women's intuition when something's wrong,
that gut turns.
And I've never had that from him, and like
everything just felt right.
Everything just flows, and like with him, like we were dating for like a week, and then he broke up with me like a week later because he was just so guarded, and he wasn't used to the type of love, because, you know, the way that I love was just so like I just put it all on you, you know, and he wasn't used to that, so he got scared, and and then we stopped talking for like a couple of days, and then when I came back to Melbourne again, so I saw him again, came back, and and then he was like, oh, I couldn't do it, like I was watching your Instagram stories and I could tell you were hurt, and like he just felt something like he had to come back, like he had to try to make it work again, or try to see like if he could really do this. And then I think it was like the best thing because it was funny because when that happened, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna text him and tell him how I really feel, because I fully broke every wall down on that week that we got getting to know each other. And I was like, you know what, you really hurt me this way because I really trusted you, and I'm someone that doesn't trust a lot or open up at all. So I was really hurt, and then I texted him and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it there. If he replies, then cool. Then if not, well, then I'm just not gonna talk to you anymore, and that's it. And then he called me literally 5 minutes later, and then we were back to, you know, talking again, but then we went slower this time. Because that first week was just a head rush, because we were just like, whoa, like, it was just full on. But yeah.
Wow.
Just a lot.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Just how it's all worked out.
Yeah, how it's all worked out and not even being together.
Yeah,
being
like
away.
that part shocks me the most because like, you know, when you think about getting to know someone, you need to see them and feel them in flesh in front of you.
Yeah.
But you know, hearing your guys' story with that goes to show, guys, it works.
It really
if you find someone overseas, man, it's alright.
Yeah,
it could work. You could be the one.
Yeah, like honestly. Wow. I used to watch, like I used to tease my sister because she did a long, you know, Charlie. Like they did long distance. Like Charlie was here, she was there. They did a year apart.
Wow.
And then I used to laugh. Like I was that so. Love was just like ugh, you know, because I knew how to love, but I was just so like I had bad experiences with it, so I was just laughing all the time, and I thought stuff like that doesn't exist. So I used to always put it on her all the time. I'm like, you guys are so cringe, like all the time. They'll do little things for each other, like, you know, send each other gifts, and I used to just laugh at her, and I'm just like, oh, that is so cringe, like blah blah blah. But deep down inside, I was like, I love stuff like that, you know. I'm like, oh, I wish I had things like that, but because I was so closed off to it, I was just like, I kind of put up a wall, and I was just like, oh, that's so cringe. But yeah, and it wasn't until like, you know, being in my relationship now, and I started to feel like to do little things like that.
Yeah.
You know, even though we're not materialistic, both of us, we're both not materialistic, but I started doing little things for him, and he'll do little things for me, and it was just, we felt good about it because we're working on our relationship. We're still trying to date each other, but we're so sure on each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important because...
And you guys are moving at the same pace.
Yeah, we're moving at the same pace. Like, okay, I'm stepping up, then you come, like, we'll go on the same level.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Like, at once, like, when we were still trying to figure each other out, I was going up, and, like, I'll forget that he's still trying to learn to love again. Or, like, he was the type that couldn't even pronounce the word love. Or call me his girlfriend. Like, I would ask him, what's your relationship status? And he goes, seeing someone, you know, you can't even say relationship. It was that good, like, you know, and I'm just like,
cringe.
I'm like, oh, say that you have a girlfriend. But, now, like, I think it was a couple of days ago, we were just chilling on the phone, and then I said something, and he goes, no, I think, I don't call you my girlfriend, I call you my wife.
Wow.
And to me, that's huge because, you know, I came from a decade-long relationship, and never hearing that or never getting close to even being that. It's like, I felt like, because, you know, me being so maternal, even my star sign, my dream job is to be a stay-at-home mom and a wife, you know. That's what I want to be. And when he said that, and I'm just like, why would you say that? Like, we're not married or we're not even engaged. And he goes, because only like guys who are not sure about their women will say girlfriends. I feel like that's a high school term, you know. Yeah. And for me, I'm just like, what the hell? Like, you know. And he goes, you know, a real man would, if he's sure about someone and he's gonna make her his wife, then that's what you call them. And to me, that was huge for me, because like me, I wouldn't tell him what to do, but I was trying to give him hints of how to treat me and how to like uphold me and stuff, but that's not my decision to make. I learned with him, if I kick back and just allow him to make his own decisions and like how he feels about the relationship, he does it himself, you know, and then he full shocks me because I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Wow.
But yeah.
That is really cool. And especially because, you know, you, like you said, you were staunch in your videos. And
he used to watch me and think, like, he would literally, even to this day, he's like, he feels like he's dating one of the boys, because I'm still like, you know, I think some days, a lot of days we have battles on who's more dominant. Like, he was like, oh yeah, you know, it's like I'm dating one of the boys, and to me, I'll get so offended, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to like try to, you know, push that to the side, because I need to allow him to be a man, because you know, the more I try to push my dominant side, it's gonna make him feel like, you know, where's his place in our relationship, and he's losing like him being a male, you know, and I don't want him to feel like that, because I want to finally allow someone to take over and not me be so dominant to the point where I have to be so dominant. I want to feel like I'm, you know, a woman and feel like I'm your partner more than I am, you know.
Wow. Yeah. That's really cool. And it's so rare to hear that.
Yeah,
I've
is.
never heard
to me,
a long distance story like this.
I always feel like, even thinking about it myself, me looking in and I'm just like, that is so weird. Because it's rare to find things like that.
But you can see everything fell into place at a great time.